Now in today's video, I'm going to share with you powerful fat loss nutrition tools or strategies you can have in your toolbox to help you torch fat, but also have the flexibility to enjoy the foods you love, go on weekends away without being anxious about food, or going on holidays like this without having to track a single calorie. Now, before we get stuck in, it's really important we understand what a calorie actually is. A calorie is just a unit of energy, and we consume calories, energy, to keep us alive or burn to go about our daily tasks, or we store that energy as fat. So someone with a lot of fat is just someone with a lot of stored energy. The next thing to understand is the difference between the principle and the method. The principle is the fundamental law of energy balance. It's calories in versus calories out. In order to successfully lose weight and lose fat, you need to be in a negative energy balance. That's a calorie deficit. It's where you burn more calories in a day than you consume. It's that simple. And in order to gain weight, gain fat, you need to consume more calories in a day than you burn on average. Once we've understood the fundamental principle, we can then pick the tools, the strategies, make sticking to our calorie deficit as easy as possible. And that is how you create a flexible nutrition plan you can actually stick to. Now, the problem is there is so much misleading information out there with fitfluencers and nutrition gurus saying, try my certain method, my keto diet, my paleo diet, my hanging upside down diet. Most of the time, it fails to adhere to the fundamental principle of calories in versus calories out. That's why you hear people say, oh, I tried keto, it didn't work at all. It's because they were not in a negative energy balance. They weren't in a calorie deficit. And then there are some people say, oh, I tried keto, it was absolutely amazing. And that's because they were in a negative energy balance. So once we've understood the fundamental principle of calories in versus calories out, we can then pick the tools, the strategies, the methods that make sticking to our calorie deficit number as easy as possible. And there isn't one method that works for every situation. Yes, you may be able to stick to a calorie deficit number pretty easily Monday to Thursday when you're at home, you're locked into a routine, you haven't got any social events, but that's not the same tool you're going to need when you want to go out with friends and family for dinner or weekends away or holidays like this. So the goal is to have a variety of these tools, these strategies, the methods that you can pull out at different times. That's how you create a flexible nutrition plan you can actually stick to. It reduces the friction points between the goals you want to achieve and life you want to live. Yes, you want to burn fat, get in shape, feel better, but you don't want to do it at the expense of having to track every single calorie or not being able to go out on weekends away or holidays like this without being anxious about food or about falling off plan. So once we've understood that the most important thing when it comes to weight loss, fat loss, is calories in versus calories out, in order to lose fat, you have to be in a negative energy balance. Then we want to pick the strategies, the tools that make sticking to that negative energy balance as easy as possible. So tool number one is going to be the 250 method. It's literally where I round everything up to the nearest 250 calories. A bowl of Greek yogurt, 250 calories, an omelette, 250 calories, a sandwich, some sushi, 500 calories, pizza, pasta, burger, maybe 1,000 calories. It's really that simple. This process doesn't have to be perfect, guys, but in order for this to be as accurate as possible, instead of snacking throughout the whole day and eating a miscellaneous amount of calories, we want to structure our meals in a way that sets us up for success. So for me, I like to have an eating window, usually around 8 hours. I know that I tend to overeat in the evening, so I want to save the majority of my calories for that dinner. That's where I am going out with friends and family. Like I'm here on holiday with Greece, dinners are my most social meal of the day. So I want to save the majority of my calories for dinner. I want to estimate it to be maybe around 1,000 calories. And then that means I'm going to break my eating window maybe around 1 p.m. And I'll have something that's around 250 calories, maybe 500 calories, maybe it's omelette, maybe it's Greek yogurt. And then around 3 p.m. I'll have something that's another 250 calories or 500 calories, maybe a shake, maybe some Greek yogurt, maybe some sushi. And then I'll have 1,000 calories to play around with for dinner. And that just means that I can eat my dinner without feeling restricted. I can then feel full, feel satiated, and there's nothing better than going to bed feeling full but still sticking to that calorie deficit. So if you're someone that likes to have big dinners, I would suggest condensing your meals down into an 8-hour eating window, backloading your calories, backloading your carbs around the times you tend to overeat or tend to get most hungry. That's how you can make this process as easy as possible. So now we've got the 250 method. We've also got the eating window, 8 hours of eating, 16 hours of fasting. The third one is the flexible dieting protocol. That is where you save 10 to 20% of your daily calories for foods you enjoy, because the last thing you want to do is try and eat clean or be overly restricted, because when you're told you can't have something, you want it even more. And people either, when they're cutting out foods completely, end up having them anyway, and that has a negative knock-on effect. They feel like they failed. I know because I've been there. And you feel like you let yourself down. Or you have the people that resist the cravings, resist the temptation, cut out sugar, cut out the things they enjoy, but then the cravings build up and eventually they give in and they overeat anyway. So I like to set a certain amount of calories each day that I can incorporate the foods I like. So for example, my calorie deficit number is around 2,000 calories. I will set aside 200 to 400 calories a day for the things I enjoy. Maybe that's pudding, whatever it is, ice cream, it doesn't matter. And that's it, guys. 3 flexible nutrition tools you can use to make sticking to your calorie deficit number as easy as possible without overthinking it, without being anxious about food, and without having to track a single calorie. If you want to know what your calorie deficit number is specific to your goal, click the link below, head over to my Instagram and DM me the word calories, and I'll help you calculate that for you. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.